to move the second stage of the Rates Relief for Community Amateur Sports Clubs Bill and open the debate on the bill. Mr McKay.
I beg to move that the second stage of the Rates Relief for Community Amateur Sports Clubs Bill be agreed. And to start with, Alas Conquer, can I say that I think this is one of the most extraordinary abuses of the petition of concern that we've seen in this chamber, in this assembly, for this bill, for this issue to be put as the subject of a petition of concern and a cross-community vote. And I believe the public find it extraordinary the levels to which some members would stoop to torpedo such a proposal. So the bill, in effect, is torpedoed before the debate even starts today. So what's the point? Some may ask. I think that members in certain parties should consider how abusive they are of this mechanism and of this assembly. And I hear some members tutting, but that's exactly what it is. And it's a great shame that knowing that many MLAs here would support this measure, the DUP have decided to kill this bill. And I ask why. You know, we will probably hear a number of red herrings. We've heard a number of red herrings already in terms of state aid cases in England, in terms of the views of the hospitality sector, and I will return to those later. But the question also has to be asked, was it because the Minister wanted to bring her own bill forward, as she has already suggested, and going by what members of her party have said in terms of the social media, in terms of the radio today, that appears to be the case. You know, so we are now coming quite rapidly to the end of this particular term. Legislation will no doubt be piling up, and the Minister is bringing forward a bill that may not even get to this floor, may not even get passed. And I think it's important that community and amateur sports clubs know that fact. I certainly hope, Alas Conquer, that it wasn't because certain vested interests or businesses close to the DUP did not see it as being in their interests. Oh, that would not surprise me either. And the party opposite have also said that the consultation wasn't appropriate, that the consultation didn't go far enough. But the Department and the Minister have already said that in bringing forward their bill that they want to skip the committee stage. Now, here we have a bill in front of us that, if passed here today, would go to the Finance and Personnel Committee for proper committee scrutiny. And of course, as the party opposite have already indicated, they want to bring forward a bill that would not be subject to such scrutiny. So the appropriate mechanism for moving this issue forward in terms of whatever the appropriate support is to be put in place for amateur sports clubs is this bill. And I believe the party opposite know that this is the only opportunity that we're going to get to put in place proper and effective support for community and amateur sports clubs that are suffering in the community. And I believe that most parties in this Assembly recognise that this is a straightforward, this is a simple proposal, and is one that we should vote for here today. What I really find astonishing, Alas Conquer, is the accusation that we are rushing into this. Anything but. My constituency colleague, Robin Swan, MLA, moved a motion here in November 2011, and that read that this Assembly recognises the benefits which community and amateur sport clubs bring to local communities, notes the vital role which they play in encouraging participation in sporting activities, and the contribution they make in promoting healthy lifestyles, and calls on the Minister of Finance and Personnel to raise the rate relief afforded to these clubs from 80% to 100% to ensure parity with equivalent clubs in what he refers to as other parts of the UK. The motion was amended by the DUP at that time to call upon the Minister, who was Mr Sammy Wilson, to examine the rate relief afforded to these clubs. But there was no doubt at that time that the general view of members was that the increase from 80 to 100% was indeed a good thing. So that was 4 years ago. And if you go back 9 years ago, there was also a view that sports halls should have been included in the rates order 2006. And I remember well that time my party colleague Barry McElduff raising that issue on behalf of sports clubs in the locality. So this is not a proposal that has been rushed into. Quite clearly, it is the opposite. And I want, from the outset, to thank the gentleman from Armagh who first gave me the idea to undertake this piece of work some 3 years ago. His name shall remain anonymous, but I can assure members that it's not Mervyn Story. I'd also like to thank the Sports Forum, Ms Katie Nixon, Mr Kieran Kearney, Mr Ken Armstrong, the manager of Belfast Bowls Club, and Patrice Hardy, who ably assisted me in our first presentation to the Finance Committee in May 2014. There was huge support for this bill. We received in excess of 1,000 responses in support. And I take a sip of water for a reason. These included Fermanagh District Council, Ballyclare Golf Club, Colban Clay Pigeon Club, Lagan Valley Orienteers, St Bridget's Cross Community Amateur Boxing Club, Bernardine's Cycling Club, Saldo Gymnastics Centre, Glendowan Football Club, Dungannon Rugby Club, also in support, Ahali Taekwondo Club, Saints Amateur Boxing Club, Abbey Gymnastics. And the reason I'm reading out all these names, these groups will not have an opportunity to contribute to the committee stage of this bill by writing or oral, so it's important that these contributions are put on the record. Ulster Clay Pigeon Shooting Association, Green Island Ladies Hockey Club, Valley Rangers Football Club, Ulster Angling Federation, Coleraine Rugby Club and Cricket Club, Oak Athletic Football Club, British Gymnastics, Slatneil GAC, Ballymoney Gymnastics, Twisters Gymnastics, Asylum Weightlifting Club in Newtownards, Warren Point Town Football Club, Flight Gymnastics Academy, Ardmore Cricket and Football Club, Brigade Cricket Club, Banbridge Rugby Football Club, Belfast Watto Can Karate Club, Malone Rugby, Clogher Valley Rugby Football Club, Ulster Gliding Club, Pan Disability Lisburn, Badminton Club, NI Orienteering, Coleraine Yacht Club, Antrim Hockey Club, the Ulster branch of the Irish Rugby Football Union, the Ulster Seaplane Association, Ballyclare Rugby Football Club, Kazuki Karate, Carrickfergus Rugby Football Club, Sandy Hill Football Club, McQuillan's GAC Ballycastle, Belfast Canoe Club, Armagh Rugby Club, Lurgan Institute FC, Beera Red Knights from West Tyrone, Donaghadee Ladies Netball Club, Ballymena Rugby Club, the Lockheed Shamrocks, Craigavon City Football Club, Duffin Transport Cycling Club, Carrickfergus Ladies Junior Hockey Club, St Joseph's Amateur Boxing Club, University of Ulster Jordanstown Canoe Club, Causeway Coast Kayak Association, Ballymena Road Club, Banbridge District Council, Mausley Hockey Club, North Down Cycling Club, Apollo Cycling Team, Banbridge Hockey Club, Larne Rugby Football Club, Belfast Harlequins, Dunbarton Bowling Club, Randallstown Ladies Hockey Club, Lakeland Cycling Club, Strabane Lifford Cycling Club, Rainey Old Boys Rugby Football Club, City of Derry Rugby Football Club, North Down Cycling Club, Tyrone GAA, Bangor Men's Hockey Club, East Coast Athletic Club, Armagh City FC, Portdenone GAC and Jurlings Camogie Club, Killyclooney Cricket Club, Strabane Cricket Club, 5 Mile Town United, Pegasus Hockey Club, Myola Park Football Club, Limavady Cricket and Rugby Club, Breedy Cricket Club, Hollywood Ladies Hockey Club, Coleraine Ladies Hockey Club, Ban Rowing Club, Downpatrick Cricket Club, Riverdale Football Club, Red Hog Wrestling Club, Chimney Corner FC, Kaizen Jiu-Jitsu Association, Ronaldstown Rugby Football Club, Falls Bowling Club, St Mary's GAC Reshargan, Grosvenor Rugby Football Club, Dundrum Cricket Club, Laurenvale Cricket Club, Carn Money Ladies Football Club, Portadown Tennis Club, Carnini Amateur and Youth Football Club, Lochgiel Camogie Club, Mahara Cricket Club, Goldlift Weightlifting Newton Abbey, Omagh Thunder Basketball Club, Cuhullins Dunloy, Tandergee Rovers Splits and Flips Gymnastics, Glentoran Football Club, East Belfast Yacht Club, Lisburn Rackets, Ballynafy Tennis and Squash Club, Cumber Recreation Football Club, Ballynagross FC, Aquinas FC, Larne Football Club, Sydenham United Football Club, Causeway Netball Club, Class Football Club, the NI Jiu-Jitsu Association, North End United FC, Swim Ulster, the Star Amateur Boxing Club, Carnlough Swifts Football Club, St Mary's GAC Hull, Ulster GAA, and Ballykelly Cross Community Amateur Boxing Club, all in favour of this bill. And that last concoyer is just to name but a few. I could have put members through a lot more names of clubs that responded to this consultation. In total, out of 1,033 replies to the consultation, 1,022 supported the proposal, 5 against, 6 were unsure. It is supported by the NI Sports Forum, the Irish Football Association, the Gaelic Athletic Association and Ulster Rugby. The Sports Forum carried out a survey of members that showed that this move would help relieve stress on clubs and would result in huge benefits for the entire community. We also had overwhelming support at public consultations we held in Enniskillen, Dungannon, Omagh, Strabane and Belfast, and what was quite clear from those public consultations is that clubs are suffering. There has been an economic downturn. There's less money out there for sponsorship. I know of one rugby club within my own constituency who had quite a significant sponsor. That sponsor fell upon hard times, and that club now has to try and fill the gap that has been left behind. And of course, in terms of what we have in place here for support for community amateur sports clubs, there's less support here than there is for clubs in the south or indeed clubs across the water. And this is outlined in excellent research by Colin Pidgeon within this building. In the south, the Valuation Act 2001 outlined that land designed for sport is exempt from rates. This refers to outdoor surfaces, including football pitches, tennis courts, race courses and golf courses, but not fixed buildings and structures. However, a further rates exemption in the same Act concerns properties used as community halls. These are not used primarily for profit or gain. Involves participation of local inhabitants and is for recreational purposes or otherwise social. This does exclude halls that sell alcohol, but all in all, a much better deal in the south for clubs than in the north. Under the CASC scheme in Britain, clubs can avail of 80% relief from non-domestic rates, and there is discretion for the remaining 20% to be relieved by local authorities. Again, we do not have such an option here in the north. And amateur clubs and their volunteers save us millions of pounds. They save money for central government here at the Assembly. They save money for local government. You know, if these clubs weren't there, if these clubs didn't fundraise and put in place pitches, put in place halls for sporting activities, it would be the local councils that will be providing the facilities instead. So local councils over the years have saved millions and millions of pounds by the activities and the voluntary work and the fundraising within the community that these clubs have carried out. And of course, they've also saved us significant money in terms of physical and mental health costs. Clubs clearly prevent health problems developing, such as obesity. And this last conquer is not appreciated enough. Most recent figures show that spending on sport contributes £452 million per annum to the economy, or 2% of GDP from 2006-07. The 2010 Decal and Sport NI publication, The Economic Importance of Sport and NI, found that sport-related activity adds £638.6 million into the economy, and that's 2.3% of total GVA, or gross value added. But the real benefit for me is public health. What this bill will help deliver is better health outcomes, because sport tackles obesity, sport tackles diabetes, and sport improves our mental health and well-being. And what is the cost of obesity? In 2012, an estimate put the impact in terms of the cost of treating obesity at £3 million per annum. In terms of lost earnings due to premature death, £22 million. Lost earnings due to illness, £47 million. The total economic cost estimated between 2007 and 2008, so it would have risen significantly since then, was £350 million. And the indirect costs of overweightness and obesity, £7.4 billion. A 2012 All-Ireland study concluded that the findings on the cost of overweight and obesity highlight the need for significant investment in research to examine the influence of fiscal and other government policies on consumer purchasing and their impact on overweight and obesity, including, for example, risk-benefits assessment of taxation that supports healthy eating and active living. At a recent knowledge exchange seminar in the Assembly, Hassan and Hughes stated, "For all the underlying scepticism and caution, in the main there appears to be an emerging, credible body of literature reporting an association between organised youth sports and positive health-related educational and social outcomes. This is specifically the case in relation to youth, with lower capabilities for participation due to economic, cultural or social features, as sports are viewed as an opportunity to engage such vulnerable young people in a leisure context, not only in terms of participation in sports, but also across a range of related activities. For example, in a recent British cohort study, it was found that for vulnerable groups, sport club attendance at the age of 16 years reduced the chance of social exclusion outcomes at the age of 30 years. So the evidence is overwhelming. Sport clubs provide a public service, yet get little in return. And I would urge members to use their foresight to see what the benefits of this could be. A lot of clubs are holding back on capital build, capital investment, because of the additional rates burden. With the rate exemption, a full rate exemption and extra finance, this bill would give the green light for new changing rooms, new stands, new pitches, new facilities for communities in rural areas and urban areas alike. I hope the Assembly will support this bill today. This will not apply to bars. It's quite clear in the bill, and there's been a bit of confusion out there and deliberately been put about that this bill will cover bars. It will not. Now, there clearly is existing legislation in place, but I have taken into account the views of those in the hospitality sector. I've spoken to the owners of bars. I've spoken to the owners of bars who are supporters of amateur sport clubs, of amateur sport, and they see no issue with the bill. They believe it's fair, they believe it's balanced, and the fact that the 100% relief will not apply to licensed premises on clubs is the common sense way forward. So I do not understand, or maybe I do understand some of the approaches that have been taken, but they certainly do not stand up to any scrutiny. In terms of this being a bad consultation, we had over 1,000 replies. And many consultations from the Department of Finance and Personnel have got over 100 replies, never mind 1,000. So the consultation has been comprehensive. The committee put out a call over the summer for witnesses to come forward. There was no responses to that. But then again, in terms of that, there was no concerns raised. There's this impression that is given that there's huge concern out there about this bill. There's not. Overwhelmingly, the public support it, and certainly the reaction on social media and Twitter last night would back that up. The cost, and I've tried to get figures from the department, and in terms of the cost for community and amateur sports clubs, the latest figures from DFP, and I suppose I need to attach some caution to this, was 420,000 per annum. But of course I would recognise that with the introduction of this and with the application from a number of clubs to join the CAS scheme, that would certainly rise. But all in all, if this is £1 million, £2 million, £3 million, what you're getting back in return is much greater than what you're losing in terms of revenue. In terms of health and well-being, this is a public service that delivers health and well-being. I know a number of clubs in rural areas. I represent a rural constituency, and they have diversified more and more in recent years in terms of what they offer in terms of health and well-being. There's events such as The Biggest Loser, where there's competitions to lose weight that involve a lot of physical activity, a lot of running, and the competition within the community actually helps bring that community closer together in terms of social cohesion. They organise marathons, they organise half marathons, cycling events, they hold health awareness days, suicide awareness, big issue in rural areas as well, organised by community and amateur sports clubs. They offer critical support for young people at a very vulnerable time in their lives. They teach young people leadership and they provide life skills. So that, taken in the whole, is a significant public service that needs to be recognised. The bill and its clauses, last can quote, would amend the Rates NI Order 1977, and at present amateur sport clubs can avail of rates relief of 80%. To qualify for the relief, the amateur sports club must comply with the requirements of Article 31, and in particular fall within the definition of a prescribed recreation as outlined in legislation. My amendments to the bill would exempt community amateur sports clubs or CASCs from the payment of rates. And the CASCs were introduced in 2002 to support grassroots sport and supports local amateur sport clubs to register with HMRC as a sports club rather than a business for rates and tax purposes. So clubs that are not community amateur sports clubs will continue to be able to avail of the 80% rate relief and clubs that are registered as casks will get 100% rate relief. The 100% rate relief will not apply to the part of any club which sells alcohol other than by way of occasional licence, but will apply to the rest of the club premises in terms of a hall, in terms of gym facilities, in terms of playing fields, etc. The bill has 4 clauses. Clause 1 amends Article 31 of the 1977 Order. Clause 1, Section 2 to Section 6 amends Article 31 to outline 2 categories of hereditaments, one including casks and the other applying to other clubs which currently benefit from relief. Clause 1, Section 7 inserts a new paragraph which affects 100% relief for casks. Section 8 applies the apportionment provisions to casks, i.e. where part of the hereditament is shown on the net annual value list as not being used for qualifying purposes, it is valued at the normal rate. Section 9 and 10 makes amendments to add new definitions of licensed premises, qualifying purposes and registered casks, and makes clear that licensed premises cannot be considered for qualifying purposes. Clause 2 amends Article 44 of the 1977 Order and allows for apportionment of net annual value between parts used for qualifying purposes and other parts. It simply states that such apportionment should be shown on the list. Clause 3 states that the bill comes into operation the day after it completes the legislative process or legislative stages. Clause 4 provides a short title of the bill, and that is all there is to it. This bill, last count clear, is not going to cost the earth. Based on the cask, this relief it would cost $420,000, as I've already said. Now, if you were to take into consideration community amateur sports clubs and those that are amateur sports clubs not covered by the cask definition, this would be somewhere in the region of £1.4 million from latest figures. And in the public meetings we held, a lot of clubs said that they wanted to expand their services and to build new stands, new club rooms, and they are factoring in the additional rates costs that they would have year on year. So it is preventing them from doing those things. Although they would gladly meet the upfront capital costs for such expansions, they are wary of having the additional rates cost year on year and believe that that is putting those projects beyond their reach. One respondent to the consultation referred to the epidemic of obesity, especially among the youth, and they said that it is the promotion of amateur sports participation that will prove the most cost-effective method of preventing soaring health costs that will cripple our economy. The small loss of revenue from rates exempting amateur sports clubs is more than compensated by it being a significant investment in proactive health care. I think there's no better way of putting it. What amateur sports clubs are is proactive health care in terms of what they give to our communities. Ken Armstrong of Belfast Indoor Bowls Club, just to cite another example, outlined to the Finance Committee that they have a rates bill of some £13,000 per annum, even with the existing rates relief. And that does not include increases in lighting, electricity, utility costs that they're also struggling with. And they want to invest, but the rates overheads are blocking that. So to conclude, last count clear, this is a progressive bill. It's a good news story, a potential good news story for this Assembly, for this administration, and its minimal cost for significant health and social impact. And in terms of this process, this is second stage of this bill. You know, we have a committee stage where all the parties in this chamber, if they have issues with the bill, can tease them out. We have consideration stage where the department or any party in this House can put amendments forward to the bill. We have further consideration stage where any party in this House or the Department can put amendments to this bill. And we have final stage, so if some parties aren't happy, they can vote against it at that stage. I believe it's a great shame that the DUP has not allowed us to have that debate, that they've abused this process, they've abused this Assembly and this Chamber, and once again today they give this place a bad name because amateur sports clubs across the North will be disappointed that we couldn't even have the conversation, we couldn't even have the debate about applying this much-needed relief to our grassroots communities. Now, I look forward to what the Minister says. I don't believe she can provide any reasonable excuse for the petition of concern. But at the end of the day, this bill is on the table and it should have been given consideration along with any other bill. And if members here wanted to vote this bill down today, I would have been happy enough to accept that. But this is not a bill that should ever have been subject to petition of concern. So I look forward to the debate among members here this afternoon, and I look forward to that.
Call Mr. Dunn.